Hey, one more thing before you go. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to truly align with your authentic self and harness the harmony between your energy, voice, and actions? Stay tuned. In today's episode, we're diving into the transformative world of energy healing and personal development with a remarkable guest, Fran Bailey. Fran's artistic roots in dance beautifully blend with her profound expertise in energy healing to create the revolutionary SHEVA method, which we'll talk about. I'm your host, Michael Hurst. Welcome to One More Thing Before You Go. Since 2002, Fran Bailey has been a trailblazer in the energy healing and guiding countless individuals to experience clarity, serenity, and transformative shifts through one-on-one consultations. As a gifted medical intuitive, Fran possesses an extraordinary ability to perceive and realign energies, helping her clients discover their highest potential. Her acclaimed book, Emergence Reveals Your Essence, is a treasure trove of insights for those seeking authenticity and spiritual growth, one that includes near-death experiences, profound contact with other dimensions, and over 2 decades of unparalleled expertise in energy healing. So get ready to uncover practical tools for tapping into your deepest potential and embracing life's true alignment. Welcome to the show, Fran.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What an amazing journey that your life has taken and come about to where you are at today. So thank you for joining me here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'd like to start a little bit in the beginning, just kind of a brief. Where did you grow up? What and do you have brothers, sisters, siblings?
Oh, I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I had 2 sisters, and I grew up in a metaphysical home. I grew up as a Christian Scientist, and my mom danced and my dad sang, and my mom's family was in vaudeville. So, a lot of characters, lots of fun, lots of really good. Anyway, I loved dance all the time, and Mom had, my mother had we had a barn, and we had a ballet mistress come and teach in the barn. And of course, it was a makeshift ballet bar along the wall, and I would take class with the adults. And I said, "Wow, that's it. I'm liking this. I'm 6. I can't even reach the bar, but the music and the movement were evidently part of my soul. I definitely knew that was something I wanted to do. So, continued to have the metaphysical experience through my I would say philosophy of the Christian Scientist about mind over matter, and went to a Christian Science camp at age 12 and had a near-death experience with a canoe accident, and really changed my life. Of course, I didn't know it then, but I knew that something had shifted.
That's an amazing opportunity. I wholeheartedly believe, we spoke about it a little bit before we started, that the creative arts have a profound effect on our souls, from the inside out. I think that, from my perspective, I think that both music and dance are an international language. They're understood across the world, and they contribute, I think, to our healing and so forth. How did your artistic background in that dance influence your approach to energy healing?
Well, good question. Couple things. I, studied all through my childhood, and then went to Connecticut College, American Dance Festival, and I knew I was going to major in dance in college, and this is a summer program, and there was a woman there her name was Margie Beals. She was an incredible improvisational dancer from New York City, and I was in her class, and she said, "Fran, you're going to dance to the saxophone by yourself." And, the conversation of movement and emotions and how you can share that to an audience so that the audience understands what that human condition is. So it's a common thing that we all experience, what I loved about dance was that actually did that without talking. So I remember the saxophone player was sort of improvising I think, around my emotions. And I did this solo dance and started crying and fell to the ground. And basically what happened was there was this evolution of emotions coming out. I wouldn't say evolution, just this process that was coming out dramatically, but it was in sync with where I was in my life. And I definitely think that progressed in my understanding of how am I going to be as an artist and movement and all that. So, and of course it's all energy, right? And that's what I continued to understand, and majored in dance and, choreographed, performed, taught children. And the funny thing is I was teaching in a Montessori school in Cincinnati, and one of the parents was a doctor, alternative doctor, starting an alternative center in Cincinnati, and said, "Franny, you can see energy." And I went, "Really? What's that?" I actually know what that was, but I just didn't know the formal thing. And so he said, "I want you to start training with Rosalind Briere, a woman out of California, who's a medical intuitive who taught me." And I met her and I went, "Oh boy, they found me." So I've been healer many, many lifetimes, and all of that sort of evolved. And so I was dancing and healing and dancing and healing, and doing both at the same time.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I think that well, as we just said a few minutes ago, I think that's an international language, and especially in the healing aspect of life. I mean, you were given a brilliant opportunity to be able to share that and teach people as well. So I think that's a blessing. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Did you go to university or college or anything had you always wanted to be in the dance field or within that arena? Had you explored any other options for like psychology or to be a doctor?
Well, it's interesting. I almost did a double major with anthropology because I love the concept of, I studied religion and studied behavior and studied movement, and that made a lot of sense to me. So it's interesting because I think the other aspect and star point that happened in my life, I went to Bahia and studied dance there, and all the, African, Brazilian dancing, and learned all about the orishas and how they do movement and how they would come in, and there were indigenous people that had never been to a studio, and they came to the studio, and of course there's no windows, and because you're in Brazil, there's no money, there's nothing. So, but that experience on how they would communicate and move their hand on the floor and, explain what they were doing as far as like communicating with the people on the ship. And so this is a Black community, and but it was fascinating, and the rhythms and the ability to actually communicate through movement and also heal. So that was another checkpoint that I was like, okay, I think I'm going to do this. So the combination of actually the formal training of energy healing with the medical world was persistent, and into this idea of, well, this comes from way back when, this indigenous thing that we all have is part of this natural healing. So it just put all the things together, the spots together, as far as,
It's always nice when your passion and your love of something combines with your soul, and you just recognize it, and all the tools and the whatever you need is put into place so that it allows you to be able to do something that you really love doing.
Yeah.
And to help other people with what you love doing.
Exactly. And, the dance world is the dance world, and there's a lot of ego attached to it in any kind of, theater, whatever. And
Great.
I'm not that. I'm the choreographer, I'm the creator. I would rather serve and share with people what it feels like to actually perform or have a gift to share with others. So it's that kind of impetus of like, everyone has it. Everyone can do it. They just have to know it.
Yeah. Kind of open our minds and our hearts and our souls.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, in our society, at least in America, in the conversations that I've had over the last 5 years, I've found that, unfortunately, society and culture sometimes sequesters those experiences or those innate within us as a young child. You that is not true. You can't see that. You can't hear that. You can't feel that. And it kind of sequesters it, and pretty soon as children, we just know to push that down. And when we learn how to open that back up again and release it, I think it's a positive thing, because it gives us an opportunity to be able to connect with the universe in a different way. So I appreciate what you do. Yeah, I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
How did you mentioned earlier about your you had the near-death experience? What kind of effect did that have on your life? Is that something that helped you to recognize your energy reading and energy healing?
How do I say this? I think when you know, because of certain circumstances that happen, and then you recognize something in yourself. You don't quite know what it is, but I recognize something happened to me that said, okay, you're not ready, come back into your body. But what I brought back was something more. Meaning that, whether my soul expanded or whether I had the ability to, I've had all these different meditative experiences where, Jesus has come in and held my hand, and, I have these things that just kept happening. And I said, okay, I'm in. You got me now. So
like a profound knocking on the door.
Nothing. And you have to. It's like, really, and they say, yeah, really. So, it's just these little experiences, and I think that all humans have them. It's just how you may remember or recognize it at a certain point. And in your life, maybe when there's a crisis, it's like, oh, what was that? Or, oh, I remember something about myself, or I'm going to bring that part of me back in because that's something I remember or recognize. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think it gives us an opportunity, hopefully, to recognize that we do have it within ourselves to have those experiences, as well as to communicate with what is out there in the universe. We're all I believe that we're all a collective. We all share, source, and with that, we all have the ability to connect to that source. And the fact that we can do it on a regular basis without I guess, needing a degree to do it.
Right.
Simplistically, we all have the ability to do it. We all have the ability to learn it. And once you learn it, it's something that it just gets better and better once you learn it. When you learn it, get that connection, and it gives you the energy that you need to heal. It gives you the energy you need to be able to move forward in life in a positive way. So yes, I absolutely get that.
Yeah.
I know that you mentioned earlier in your intro on some of the research I have done on you, and you mentioned a little bit ago about being medically, with the medical kind of aspect of energy healing. How does that work? Can you help me understand how you got involved in that and how it benefits people?
Well, studying with Rosalind Breer out of California, she's a medical intuitive, and she taught me how to run energy on the body. And it's just like dance. You're moving energy. If I wasn't moving with my feet, it's the same principle. It's everything is energy. So as you learn to become an energy healer and work on patients, what I was getting was this intuitive knowing of what was happening in the body, so I could actually see in the body where the dysfunction is, or I don't even have to touch the body. I can do it virtual, and it just increased and increased and increased. And of course, I thought I was crazy at first, but no, it just kept coming. So I'll give you an example of how the impetus of the SHEVA method started. This was right before I started studying with Rosalind, and my father died of cancer. And I think the body responds. The body doesn't lie. It really responds to stress. I had 3 small children. My mother was flipping out. My father died. My sisters were in their own lives, and basically, I was kind of holding up the fort for a lot of people, which I do. And anyway, my body broke down, and I got cancer. So I had stage 4 cervical cancer, and my doctor said, well, you need to take everything out because you're going to die. And I said, really? I don't think so. So I got another opinion, and I said, I'm going to work on myself in my head. I'm going to do this process of killing the cancer cells on myself. And then, visit another doctor, and I'm going to work with her and see where this, where it goes. I'm going to do both, but I'm going to do energy work every day on myself. So the process of killing the cancer, you don't explode the cell, you go inside the cell and you kill the cancer. 1. Number 2, cancer is, you befriend it. You don't have fear around it. It's an interruption in your life. 3, you keep holding that positive note that you are whole. 4, you just know it and you do it every day. So I had to do a process of 3 years every 3 months to go see her, and then 2 years every 6 months. So I was clear. I had one procedure, and then after that, everything was fine. So if I'm the guinea pig, and I'm the guinea pig for all these methods and all these experiences, then that's what's the impetus of the SHEVA method. So when you're asking, how does that happen? How do I know that? It takes practice. It takes, the first thing you do is get out of your own way. The ego cannot be present. So something else comes in and guides you into the next place you put your hand on the body, or next place you see. So seeing is not necessarily seeing, it could be a knowing. So feel, hear, see, smell, taste. So all those senses are awake, so that you can actually visualize. It's like Da Vinci. Same principle, the way he drew a body, he understood that how the system works. So this body is a perfect system if we just allow it to breathe and do what it needs to do to heal. So that's the connection of the conversation that happens.
That's an interesting approach. I think the energy is. What's the difference between that, or maybe the parallels for something like chakra balancing, or does that play a factor into energy healing?
Absolutely.
And how that all works?
Mm-hmm. I mean, everything, all my movement is, I design movement around the chakra system, balancing the meridians. So that's part of the SHEVA method. All the meditation is, the chakras system is in line so that you can actually see the imperfections or these sort of bumps in the road. Mm-hmm. So that you get your body back in so that you can proceed down a path of healing. So it's all about alignment.
From that perspective, how does something like acupuncture? I mean, I haven't done it lately, but my wife and I were in a consistent practice of acupuncture for my rheumatoid arthritis, and it gave me relief, immense amount of relief, and it helps
Oh
me to
yeah.
heal every time I come out of a surgery and such. I'm not a guy to get tattoos, okay,
Yeah.
but I've got like 36 little dots all over my body.
Yeah.
So when people go, look at my tattoo, I say, well, you look really close.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Here's a little tiny dot.
Yeah. Well, so the alternative center they did a thing called ACE, which is acupuncture, chiropractic, and energy. So I was always the third person working on that patient. So that the doctors and I would discuss what I saw and what I felt, and then brought the energy in through the needles, and then I would say, well, I see this, this, and this, and now how about this next time, or
That kind of thing. That's very, what an amazing gift that is. Yeah, I think being able to
yeah,
to help people and to heal people, and we all come into life and we wonder what our purpose is, and some of us are constantly seeking our purpose and where we actually really fit into the scheme of things. Some of us have been really lucky and been able to find our purpose and what it is, and embrace that purpose and so forth. And it sounds like you've been able to find a purpose that not only satisfies your soul, but you also help. You can't see my hands moving everywhere. It
yeah,
helps other people to find their purpose in their soul and their well-being. So yeah, I think that's a profound opportunity for this. It must feel fantastic. Tell me how does Shiva come about? Like, does it stand for something? Is it, how does that come about?
So I was channeling. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, facing north, and they said this word Shiva, and I said, well, what's Shiva? And they said seeking harmony and energy, voice, and action. I went, okay. So it's taken 20 years to sort of figure out what the whole thing means, but I knew that it was going to be something that I was either going to teach, it was going to be a method, or it's like this foundation of the work. And that's what it is. You're seeking harmony and energy, voice, and action. So whatever you do harmoniously will evolve into an action that is in positive reinforcement of your life. So that's the bottom line. And also the bottom line is love. And that is always, always the bottom line. And that expansion of what love is, it's an energy in itself. And that anybody that comes to see me, it's always I'll see the energy of the person, I'll see their guides or whatever. As soon as the meditation finishes and we hone in on what that client needs, I work very, very fast. And because I just throw away all the stuff they don't need, or I'm just saying we're going to get rid of those things quickly because I don't want to waste your time. I want you to find what that purpose and reason is, and that it's yours, not mine. That's really important. Is that I'm just here to suggest, and then it's given to you. The actual healing is different for everyone. So but that's the idea, the foundation underneath.
From that perspective. I think I said, well, again, I love the word opportunity. I embrace the word of opportunity because I think we all have the opportunity to be able to heal ourselves and to understand how we have the ability to do that within ourselves. It took me a little time to really understand that myself and my journey, but once I understood it, it allows me to manage my health on a regular daily basis. Earlier you mentioned something about energy imbalances and things like that. What are some common energy imbalances that maybe you observed, and maybe how you utilize that? And you kind of just touched upon it, but how do you utilize that for the Shiva method? Is it just for imbalances or something as serious as cancer, like you were saying?
Well, the other third component of the method is Enneagram, which is the study of personalities. And I had to do that for 2 years, study. He was a gentleman who was Russian in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He studied body movement in all different cultures. And he understood that we were all one. And he choreographed this huge piece, and there's one person in the middle. We are all either heart types, mind types, or body types, but we're all one. And of course, it's changed from that into an analogy of the personality. So why I say that? If you're analyzing your shortcomings, so to speak, your egos, and you understand your ego in a way that is, you can laugh at yourself. What happens with energy and the cues of how you're running your energy? For instance, I'll give you an example of somebody who's a head type, and they're always up in their head. They're always thinking, analyzing, worrying. You know, they're very consumed with thought. So I never ask someone who's a head type how they feel. I ask them how they think they feel, because then they're not caught off guard, because they're allowed to think. So we as humans have these self-talk. You know, we all do that. So that's another analysis. It's really important to understand where the resistance is. So I look at the resistance, I look at the body, I look at the heart, I look at the mind, I look at the soul, and where the resistance is to finding that part of themselves. So it's just like this full little playing cards of all these different aspects of yourself until we whittle it down to, okay, well, you're going into the ego, or how does that feel? Or are you dipping into someone's response because they're evaluating you? So to catch that is like, okay, no, this is about love of self. This is about your love, and we're going to push everybody away. Your children, your husband, your wife, your parents, people who are analyzing you. This is about you in this moment.
Do you think that, are you an empath in that regard? Do you think that it's
Yes.
important to be an empath so you can understand those connections in the best way to kind of work with them to balance somebody?
Yes, I think, you know, it's like breaking down all these things to a simple science, so that the client can understand. If the client comes in and it's just for cancer, I will say, first of all, you're whole.
Right.
This is an interruption. Let's look at this as that. And let's just say hello to cancer, and then start shrinking the cells.
Interesting approach. You know, cancer is I'm glad that you beat that and that you've overcome that. I lost my father. He was 39 years old. He died of cancer. My grandmother, my grandfather, my 2 uncles, 3 cousins. My sister beat it 3 times. She's had it 3 different times. And
Wow.
it's you know, the cancer in our environment, in our world, you know, from a personal perspective, is a really, really bad word, because it's, you know, I'm constantly, I'm not going to say I'm in fear of getting it myself, because I really try to do my best to kind of take care of myself, and I try to eat well, and, you know, I don't say try, I do eat well, and, you know, I manage my rheumatoid arthritis and some other things with my diet and with meditation and with some more holistic approaches other than utilizing the medications that they typically put you on for things like that. So I champion what you say about your mind, your body, and your soul, and the connection we have to that in order to heal ourselves. Because I think that we all innately have the ability, like Da Vinci, you brought up Da Vinci earlier, that we have
Yeah.
control over our bodies. We have control of what we want to put in them, what we want to do with them, and how we want that to help us to heal what we have gone through. Earlier, you had, I know some of your background in some of the bio that was sent to me, that you've experienced some ET contact as well. Did that have any contribution to the way that you heal and how you heal?
Um, yes, I think it does, or did, because I revisit it often. Well, this is the same year when I had the near-death experience, which is, I'm actually in a book. Her name's Atwater, last name Atwater. She's studied this for years, and I'm a case study in her book. So there's this study of near-death experience and the ET experience in the same year, and that happened to me. And basically, long story short, there was a light that came in, and these little grays, came into the house and flew up in the front door, and I telepathically knew that they were there. But I was sick. I was very sick. And they went to my parents' room, and I said, don't take them. They went to my sister, and I said, don't take her. And my other sister, I didn't hear what happened, but I said, take me. So they took me out the front door and in their ship, and took something from my left ovary. And I think in turn gave me the ability to heal with speed and a knowingness, a telepathic ability to just know. And I still believe that, and otherwise I don't know why I would just channel things so quickly. It
Right.
just would come in so quickly, and there was no fear. There was a tall gray and the small grays, and I mean, there's so much now coming out. So many people have experienced that.
Yeah, I believe in extraterrestrial. I believe in there's other life within this universe, and that we have the ability to communicate with them as well, and so forth. I've had conversations with other individuals on this show that have had contact with them. I think that we as human beings, the ones that have had experiences like yours, should be grateful for that opportunity, because they've given you insight, and they've given you an ability to be able to kind of take from within yourself to touch other people's lives in a very unique way from that perspective. So from that, I'll have to say, if they're listening, thanks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not, because I think there's no fear of death. I don't have fear of death. And I don't have fear of, it's like the vastness of the opportunity we have is amazing. It's all present and
Right.
here for us to experience. And I just think that we're living in the most amazing time.
I agree with that. What motivated you to write your book, Emergence?
Good question. So I was teaching for years and channeling for years, and I would do movement and meditation, and then all these. Anyway, I had all these techniques, and I had piles and piles of things I've written in paper. And somebody said, "Fran, you need to write this down. You need to write a book." And I went, "Oh no, 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 no." I went, and I was sweating, and I said, "You're right." So it was like this. Okay, I'm going to give myself a year and a half, and it's going to get done. And basically, it was channeled that I would go into an office downtown with a wonderful helper, this young gentleman helped me, and would just go into a channel and start writing. And then I'd get up early in the morning at 6 and start writing. And basically, it's about the method. It's about love. It's about how we're all connected. It's all about the chakra system. How do we clear? What might be holding you back? It's very simple, and it's full of color, and it's a lovely, lovely paperback, lots of colors and all the chakras and all that stuff. So it's lovely quotes. I'll read this. This is I opened this up. Usually the first exercise of this book, if you have it, is to put it in your own hands and put your energy in it and open it up and find the page that you need for that day. So this just came right now, so I think I'll read it. This is something I wrote. Forgiveness. Imagine forgiveness as an impetus to freedom. Forgive and free yourself from all the wrong you think you have done. Patiently wait, allowing this concept to arise and integrate within you. Feel yourself letting go of all judgment. When you are ready, release guilt, shame, blame, or doubt coming from you or others. Bring attention to the inner voice. It can reveal the truth and set you free to unveil a deeper connection to the higher creative self. Experiment with the idea that divine energy is always beside you, waiting to be accepted. Breathe, listen, let go, and live in love. Treasure life's magical experience and witness all that is while embracing the human connection and love and harmony.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
That's brilliant. I think that, and profound for the moment, I think that it's a message that a lot of us can take to heart and kind of stop and pause for a moment and embrace it.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's very cool. That book itself, obviously, it's available. I mean, we'll talk about it in a second, but I think it's available on your website and or on Amazon.
It's not, I have all the books with me, so I sign it and send it to you. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of things like that, what kind of practical steps? Some practical steps that can you give us to maybe take the time to begin aligning with our authentic selves today? I think we all kind of seek that. We're all looking for that. We're all looking for the ability to say, "Who am I really?" Can you give us a few tidbits, a few little?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's a free download of the SHEVA method, which is a really good way to begin, kind of going through a process. It's free. I would definitely take the time and be patient with yourself to listen and to trust the process, and know that there are all aspects of you and many more to discover. And if you look at the idea of discovery and use that intrigue for self-discovery is also part of the process and beauty that you find within, not from others telling you, but from within. So trust, walk in nature, say hello to your body, what your body's doing in your heart and soul. But self-inquiry is the biggest thing, and that's what the method is about, basically, is that you're asking those questions. They're free. There are meditations on my website as well. There are lots of really cool, karma cleansing, chakra clearing, and they're not terribly expensive. But they get you started.
But they give you the tools that you need. I think a lot of us need to learn. I mean, I learned it. It took me time to learn it myself, but I learned a long time ago to listen to my body. And I think that once you start learning how to listen to your body, it gives you an easier, as you just said, gives you an easier opportunity to communicate with it and understand what your body's looking for, what it's needing, what it's asking for, what, you know, we don't always, sounds kind of a little weird, but listen to your body. Yeah, when it's talking to you. How do you, as an energy healer, how do you see energy healing evolving in the next decade or so? Do you think that, and I hate putting this out there, unfortunately, there's a huge amount of negativity that has been growing lately across the world, and in regard to that, how do we pierce that veil of negativity to be able to understand, like, the evolvement of energy healing and how it can help us?
Be aware of what you're holding on to. Be aware of, you know, this is a trick I do every morning. And these things that we have, these hands, are healing. They are amazing. If you put your hands on the center of which is the heart center, and you push right here, so you're healing. The tips of your fingers are not where it's healing. It's right there, at the right below. So everything has a chakra system. Okay, even your fingers, your everything, your organs, everything. So if you think about this accessing the heart, and just take a deep breath and then push in gently, that is, the heart chakra is about love and courage, but also behind that is lung. This is the lung meridian, and this is about grief. Okay? So what we're holding on to is the grief of loss. You know, there's loss, there's grief, and then there's hurt. So breathing, it's funny, what came into me this morning was like, we have to breathe. We have to keep breathing, and breathing in through our whole body. And as you exhale, exhale through your whole body. But at this point, you know, even if you touch there and you cry and lay down on the floor and do that, you're releasing the tension. Because a lot of this tension is coming from the outside and triggering you. So even if you breathe and push here and just keep feeling the energy going behind you and releasing the lung, and replace it with courage and love, then that is an impetus. That's a tool. So I do this in the body work there's 2 videos on my website. So even that alone makes you kind of ground more and be present into your body, or reaching out to go from out there in, you're going in and looking out and observing. Okay? So.
Thank you. I think again, that's back to the opportunity. I think it gives us an amazing opportunity to be able to connect with ourselves and to balance a little bit. Sometimes we all just need to pause and balance. Even no matter what kind of a day you're having, or if you're just starting out your day, or you need to pause and balance in the middle of it.
Right.
What kind of advice would you give to someone who feels like disconnected from the inner self, or kind of seeking spiritual harmony? I believe in mind, body, soul connection, and we've been talking about that throughout the show. But I think that we have to, back to the balance word we just said. I think we have to all balance that. So what can somebody who feels disconnected from the inner self, how can they reconnect that? Same methods, or would it be something different?
Well, the question I would ask is this: what are you disconnected from? I'm going to say that again. What are you disconnected from? Is someone disconnecting you from yourself? Are you disconnecting from yourself, or outside forces? What is it? Once you understand what the reason and you find what you're disconnecting from. Then you look at that and you say, okay, I want to feel connected, so I must release that in order to feel connected. Again, it's physics, it's a science, it's a almost a physicality, but also a mental intrigue question that you ask yourself. So, does that make sense?
It does make sense. That goes back to listening to your body.
Yeah.
I think,
So it's the same. It's always the same principle. All of it.
Yeah, a lot of times I think that it's interesting because I've from an early age I used to practice martial arts, and I think that the philosophies in regard to that helped me through my lifetime in understanding the connection between mind, body, and soul, and listening to your body. And it allowed me through my own journey of healing and my own journey of the operations, for example. And both knee replacements I healed about 6 weeks ahead of schedule, and same thing with my shoulders, and same thing with the foot. And without the medications that they want to stuff down your throat. That's a very rude way of saying that, but it was constantly coming in with, here's a Vicodin, here's a Vicodin, here's a Vicodin. So I don't need the Vicodin, thank you very much, I'm good, kind of a thing. So yeah, it's just a matter of listening to your body. And I knew if I was pushing myself too much, I felt it. If I was not pushing myself enough, I also felt it. I got that balance and able to, again, listening to my body. So yeah, it's profound. It's a great way. Well, let's talk a little bit more about how to get a hold of you, the SHEVA method, the introduction, some tools that you have on your website and your book and all that good stuff.
Okay, so my website is franbaileyhealer.com, and all those little goodies are on the site. And there's, the book, the meditation. I often do, if someone wants to work with me and kind of wants to work quickly, I usually do like 3 sessions, intense sessions, and we really do an introduction of what it is you want, and then the next 2 are really figuring out a pattern for yourself, for you. So that's really been productive. And then after that is a tune-up. So you just come every couple months or something, and we'll usually do Zoom or I do in person. So there are all kinds of goodies. If you want to reach out and set up a 15-minute discussion of a free call, that's fine too. You can reach me through my website, or you can reach me franbailey.sheva@gmail.com. You can just email me. All kinds of, there's body work and sort of my history, and of course there's the book, and I can sign it and send it. So all kinds of goodies.
All kinds of stuff. All kinds of good stuff. Say good stuff. Can also find you on Instagram. The handle's right there on the screen for those individuals that are watching. Fran, this has been a wonderful conversation. I wish I could talk for another hour. So many more questions. But thank you very much for sharing your journey and for sharing your gift with the world. I think that there needs to be more people like you with a positive outlook on life and sharing that with people.
Well, I feel blessed and I feel honored. There's a decision that you make, and making that decision was say, okay, I'm in. I'm here to share and love, but the thing is to remember that we're human, and that we are not perfect, and we do make mistakes, and we can laugh at ourselves and have joy and peace, and those things are important to be human and experience. So I always say that every experience is sacred, no matter what. No matter what.
I think experience does 2 things for us. It teaches us what to do and what not to do. And
Right.
even when we fail, that is a learning step to understanding how to succeed. So, yes. Now, you may have just answered this in actuality, but I always end the show with, this is one more thing before you go. Do you have any words of wisdom?
Just remember that this divine energy that's present is part of you. You are part of that divine energy, and that the remember that you're not perfect, but you're loved. You're always loved. And that I always say this: love those for what they do and what they do not do. Love their imperfections, and love yourself for your imperfections, because I mean, that's life. You have to be, enjoy it. So fill yourself with intrigue and interest and zest for life, and go for it.
Profound words of wisdom. I think we all should embrace them wholeheartedly. Again, Fran, thank you very much. I'll make sure all of this is in the show notes so people have an easy way to find you and connect with you. Thank you for coming on the show, for sharing your experiences, and thank you for contributing to the world of healing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
One more thing before you all go. Thank you very much for being a part of One More Thing Before You Go community. Please like, subscribe, leave me a review. It helps us in the long run. Have a great day. Have a great week. And thank you for being here.
Thanks for listening to this episode of One More Thing Before You Go. Check out our website at beforeyougopodcast.com. You can find us as well as subscribe to the program and rate us on your favorite podcast listening platform.